Hello guys, welcome back to another video of Flashback Flicks. Today we are going to recap 2008 animated movie, WALL-E. Our story begins in an alternate futuristic universe. Excessive consumerism and improper waste management have turned Earth into an uninhabitable wasteland. All plant species have perished due to the severe conditions, and water sources have dried up completely. Massive amounts of non-degradable garbage cover the planet, making it unsuitable for human life. Faced with these dire conditions, humanity evacuates the dying planet and boards a colossal mothership called the Axiom. The Axiom is a robust and dependable vessel, equipped with a wide array of basic and luxurious amenities, including beaches, spas, and an endless supply of food. As they depart, humans leave behind a fleet of robots to manage the accumulated waste. These robots diligently begin their cleaning duties and continue for many years. Centuries pass, and most of these machines become non-functional, leaving only one robot still operational, WALL-E. Over the years, WALL-E continues his task, meticulously compacting trash into neat bundles for easier disposal. One evening, after a long day of work, WALL-E discovers a friendly cockroach and takes it back to his shelter. His shelter is an organized collection of robotic spare parts and unique items he finds intriguing. Upon returning home, WALL-E plays a tape on his media player and watches a video on TV. He sees a human couple holding hands and gazes at them longingly, yearning for companionship. Just then, WALL-E notices a sandstorm approaching from a distance. He quickly secures his shelter and settles in for the night. The next day, WALL-E resumes his daily routine of gathering garbage but is soon distracted when he discovers a budding plant. WALL-E is amazed to see the seedling, as it is the first plant the planet has seen in centuries. He carefully takes the bud and immediately returns to his shelter. At his shelter, WALL-E spots a moving red light and becomes intrigued. He chases the light, which leads him to a desert where an unfamiliar spaceship lands. The aircraft drops off a strange-looking pod and swiftly takes off, returning to its original location. WALL-E watches the pod cautiously and is astonished to see another robot, named Eve, emerge from it. Eve is a sleek, advanced robot with a stylish exterior, and WALL-E instantly falls in love with her. The new robot is feisty and fires laser beams at random objects with the slightest provocation. Despite this, WALL-E remains fascinated and follows her from a distance, observing her activities throughout the day. Eve is on a mission, scanning various items but unable to find what she is looking for. Curiosity gets the better of WALL-E, and he musters up the courage to approach Eve and inquire about her search. Although Eve chats with him, she refuses to disclose any information about her mission. WALL-E is disappointed but respects her boundaries, and they quickly switch topics as they continue their conversation. Moments later, another sandstorm suddenly appears and disorients Eve. Fortunately, WALL-E leads her to his shelter, where he shows her his collection of interesting items. He hands her a bubble wrapper, a light bulb, and a Rubik's Cube, amusing her with each object. The duo watches a movie on WALL-E's media player and even dances together for a while. Afterward, WALL-E shows Eve the seedling he found. Eve promptly scans the plant using her sensor, and her radar instantly turns green, signifying that she has been searching for a plant all along. She retrieves the seedling and sends a signal into space before going into standby mode. WALL-E tries to revive her, but all his efforts prove futile, much to his dismay. The following day, WALL-E heads to work and leaves Eve at the shelter. Hours later, the ground shakes, and WALL-E sees the aircraft from the previous day landing near his home. He rushes to the site and watches as the spaceship grabs a dormant Eve and stores her in a pod alongside other similarly shaped robots. WALL-E bids farewell to his pet cockroach and clings to the aircraft before takeoff. The ship launches into the atmosphere and breaks into space. The foreign environment throws WALL-E off, causing him to drift from the ship. However, he regains his grip and holds on tightly as the ship blasts past the moon and stars. Eventually, it reaches the Axiom, the same mothership humans have inhabited for centuries. The aircraft docks at a waiting station and unloads Eve alongside the other robots, who undergo an examination process. A machine scans the robots and discovers that Eve has a plant specimen in her compartment. This discovery triggers an alarm, prompting a group of cyborgs to hurriedly take Eve from the room. Wall-E follows them and finds himself in a hallway filled with machines. He makes his way through and soon spots a crowd of humans. Wall-E is instantly amazed by their chubby physiques and soon discovers their new way of life. It turns out that humans no longer work or perform basic activities on their own, as they are fully assisted by robots. They live solely on sugary drinks and do not include healthy foods or vegetables in their diet. This sedentary lifestyle and unhealthy diet, coupled with space's low gravity, have led to a significant change in their anatomy. The average human is now overweight with extremely low bone mass and density. Wall-E closely follows Eve and encounters two humans on his way, whom he befriends. Eventually, he sees Eve being ushered into the ship's control room and swiftly follows her there. Inside, Captain McCrae, with the help of the ship's robotic wheel, Otto, conducts a daily routine check on the aircraft. After all systems are cleared, McCrae delivers a speech from his office to the entire ship via a series of projected screens. The captain announces that it has been exactly 700 years since humans evacuated Earth. Although multiple generations have lived and died since then, he congratulates the passengers for making it this far. Before McCrae can conclude his speech, Otto informs him of Eve's return, stating that she has brought back a seedling. The captain is perplexed by this announcement, as no robot has ever returned from Earth with a plant. To understand the significance of this event, McCrae consults the ship's automated manual, which instantly plays an old video explaining the situation. The video reveals that the retrieval of a plant from Earth indicates that the planet has become habitable once again. It instructs the captain to place the seedling into a hollow detector, which would immediately steer the ship back to Earth. Moments later, Eve awakens and spots Wall-E. She's shocked to see her Earth friend on the Axiom and quickly hides him in a corner. Meanwhile, McCrae authorizes the ship's AI to obtain the seedling from Eve. The cyborg swiftly opens her compartment, but they are stunned to find it empty. Consequently, McCrae assumes that Eve is malfunctioning and sends her to the diagnostic center. As Eve leaves, Wall-E approaches the captain and shakes his hand, leaving a mass of dirt on it. Seeing this, McCrae sends Wall-E to the diagnostic center alongside Eve. At the diagnostic center, Wall-E is confined in a cell for faulty robots, while Eve is taken to a repair ward. She is tended to, but Wall-E mistakes her repairs for torture and charges in to rescue her. In the process, he fires an energy blast that damages the controls and releases all the faulty devices. This act causes them to be marked as rogue robots, and they are quickly pursued by the other machines. Eve is frustrated with Wall-E for causing chaos but still saves him from the pursuing cyborgs. Eventually, she takes him to an exit room and places him in an escape pod, intending to send him back to Earth. However, before the pod takes off, they hear a cyborg approaching and quickly hide to avoid getting caught. Just then, they see Otto's henchman, Go-4, stashing the missing plant in the pod and setting the aircraft to self-destruct. When Go-4 leaves, Wall-E rushes into the pod to retrieve the plant for Eve but gets locked inside and sent into space. The self-destruct countdown begins, and Wall-E panics as he frantically pushes the ship's buttons to no avail. Meanwhile, Eve rushes into an emergency escape pod and chases after him. Moments later, she witnesses the pod explode and is devastated, believing that Wall-E and the plant are lost. Heartbroken, Eve charges towards the explosion to find their remains but is stunned to find Wall-E alive and well. Wall-E opens his compartment and reveals the recovered seedling, which he hands over to Eve. She is overjoyed to see the plant and hugs Wall-E to show her gratitude. Wall-E soon regains his composure, and the duo re-enters the Axiom. As they hide from a pair of police bots searching for them, Eve conceals Wall-E with towels and abandons him as she rushes into McCrae's room. Eve hands the plant to McCrae, who gets excited because now they can return to Earth. However, Eve interrupts him to show him the recordings she took of the planet, and McCrae is disappointed to see that Earth isn't the beautiful place he saw in the old pictures. However, when Eve plays Wall-E's old movie, the sound of music brings back some hope, and McCrae decides that if the little plant didn't give up, he shouldn't either. Meanwhile, Wally tries to go looking for Eve by entering a trash chute, and Mo follows him. The captain tries to order the ship to return to Earth, but Otto stops him and asks for the plant. McCrae refuses and demands an explanation. Otto then plays another video. The president of Earth announces that the cleanup program was a failure and that toxicity levels make life unsustainable on Earth. This means the project to recolonize is cancelled, and Directive A-113 puts the ship on eternal autopilot so humans can stay in space. Otto is loyal to A-113, and that's why it had taken the plant from Eve when it checked on her the first time. McCrae notices this video is around 700 years old, which means the information is outdated, and the plant proves life can be possible on Earth, meaning they should return. Otto calls its little robot to stop them, and when the small guy takes the plant, Eve threatens it. The robot responds by throwing the plant into the trash pipe, but at that moment, Wally climbs out of it with the plant on his head. Eve tries to reunite with Wally, but the little robot captures her. Wally hides the plant inside his body, but Otto electrocutes him and pushes him into the pipe before putting Eve in capsule mode and tossing her too. Then Otto locks McCrae in his room to keep him quiet. Later, Eve wakes up thanks to a mouse robot pressing her button, finding herself in the garbage disposal room, and both Eve and Wally end up inside those cubes. Using her gun, Eve frees herself, but she isn't strong enough to pull Wall out as well, and the cubes get ejected. Suddenly, Mo shows up and gets stuck on the inner door. The force of the ejection helps Eve get Wall away from the garbage, and she flies back to hold onto Mo. The garbage robots notice there's trouble and immediately close the outer doors, helping the trio come back inside. Wally isn't working well, so Eve goes looking for chips to repair him. Unfortunately, none of these modern pieces are good for an old model. Eve realizes Earth will have the necessary parts to fix him, so she grabs everyone and flies back into the main area of the ship. A guard sees them and raises the alarm, but Eve pushes it away and keeps going while the other rogue robots follow her. Otto sees everything on the screens and activates more guards. McCrae also sees it all and begins messing with the control panel so he can do a transmission. The captain appears all over the ship to show Eve the instruction manual, pointing at the area where the plant should be deposited. Eve and Wally immediately begin moving, only to find themselves surrounded by guard robots. However, the rogue robots immediately begin fighting the guards to clear the way for their savior. Meanwhile, McCrae puts a picture of the plant on the screen and calls Otto, pretending to have the plant to taunt the AI into coming after him. As soon as Otto enters the room, McCrae jumps on it to fight it, and in the struggle, he kicks the little robot through the window. After lots of pulling, he manages to reach the control and activates the traveling mode of the ship. Now, the robots start to prepare the humans for sleep through their trip back to Earth. The special capsule for the plant opens in the middle of the ship, but when Eve and Wally are about to reach it, Otto pushes McCrae off and steers the ship to make the plant fall. All the humans fall off their chairs, and Mary and John have to work together to save a bunch of babies. 2 transporting couches begin falling as well, but Eve stops them right before people can get crushed. Otto shuts down the special capsule, so Wally rushes to keep it up, getting even more broken. McCrae makes an effort and finally stands up again, allowing him to jump on Otto and turn it off for good. Then the captain puts the ship back into place, and Eve goes to check on Wally while asking everyone to look for the plant. Mo, the rogue robots, and the humans work together to retrieve the plant and toss it into the capsule. This activates the returning program again and releases Wally from the pressure, but he isn't working. In just 10 seconds, the ship pulls off a hyper jump and returns to Earth as soon as they land. Eve immediately rushes the severely damaged robot to a shelter. She hurriedly searches his shell for the necessary parts and uses them to repair him. In no time, Wally regains consciousness, but unfortunately, he loses his personality and memories. He looks at Eve with a blank stare. She tries her best to restore his memories, but all her efforts prove futile. Devastated, she emotionally holds his hand and gently butts heads with him, which sparks a reaction. This gesture jogs his memories, and Wally regains his personality. They gently butt heads once more. In the final scene, the humans finally exit the ship and plant the seedling in the new ground. Months later, the plant multiplies, and new vegetation grows, as Earth gradually returns to its fertile and life-sustaining form. This has been Recap of WALL-E movie. Hope you have liked it, and thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more exciting stories from Flashback Flicks. See you next time.